What is up, everybody? How is it going? Say hello in the chat. I will attempt to pronounce your name as always, and I will screw a lot of them up. Genius Idiot, Mohammed, Kamar, what is up? Pape, Poppy, I don't know. T20S Grunt, probably the most frequented regular here on the channel. Rand, Dax, what is up? Sunil. Chot, how's it going? All right, we are ready to rock. Awesome stuff. Okay, so for those of you who are new, this is basically a live UI UX review where you submit your design and I take a look at it and I give you improvements. We'll also do a rating between 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and instructions for how to submit your design are in the YouTube description. I'm not going to go through those. This basically involves Discord. This is the channel right here, _space-submissions. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get rocking here. But before we do that, I am going to do this that I might rate a 4 or 5 up to 8 and beyond. But more important than that, all right, time to take a break from the reviews. Now, chances are if you're watching this video, you probably want to be a better designer. And if that's the case, how much do you really want it? Because at DesignCourse.com, I've created a UI UX course that will help you go from designing layouts that I might rate a 4 or 5 up to 8 and beyond. But more important than that, as a better designer, this means that you can land higher paying clients and jobs. This course includes over 16 hours of video, 40 interactive UI design tests, and even mentorship where I personally take a look at your work that you submit, I review it, and many times I also revise it, providing you with great feedback to help you become a better designer. Now, during this stream only, you can use the coupon code STREAM22 at checkout to get 22% off. Now, you better hurry up because at the end of this stream, I will deactivate this coupon. All right, let's get back to it. All right, let's get back to it. Let me make sure that ad is okay. It is okay. Yeah, so Stream22 at DesignCourse.com works right now, and I will disable it after this stream is over. So consider joining if you like what you see, what I'm doing, if you think I can actually help you in my course. All right, so let's go ahead and, so the first person asked me to review an official India government website. It's not their own. Honestly, I don't want to review other websites that people have designed. I will take a really quick look at it, but I'm not going to get in depth with it. As always, because it's a government website and because governments have a monopoly on basically all the services they run, there's no incentive for them to provide a great product because they have a never-ending flow of cash through taxation, and they have no competitors. And as such, you get stuff like this, like horribly pixelated hero sections. It just looks really bad. Of course, I've seen some that are worse. Hopefully, is my okay, good. My screen flashed for a second. Yeah, I've seen government websites that are worse than this, but I mean this section right here is just terrible. And what's with the gray, the very bland links up here? Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into that though. Let's go here. All right, so another regular. I never really knew how to pronounce that person's name. The Tech Hacks, maybe that's it. All right, this is a Figma prototype, and we're going to check it out. All right, let's see here. All right, I've seen that asset somewhere. All right, so looks like we have a mobile and a desktop version. And looking at this, all right, so the first thing I would change, let's see if we could just grab this real quick and hit play so we can get it slightly larger. All right, let's see if we can go back to desktop. Fortunately, how do I get this out of the preview of the mobile? Never really screwed with that. Okay, well, fuck it, whatever. All right, we're just gonna check it out like this. So there's an issue right here. These links are way too, I'm gonna say way too close, but you should probably separate them out a little bit more with more white space between them. And that's gonna help it a little bit better. You should also, when it comes to your navigation, have an active state. So which is the currently link that is currently active based on the page you're on? Well, this would be the home page. So you wanna make it different from the rest, which would be achieved through typographic visual hierarchy, something I talk about all the time. And that you could achieve that in many ways. You can make the color of this home button maybe your primary color. You could bold it. You could do both of those things at the same time. You could underline it. You can add an icon next to it. So there's a lot of different ways you can signify to the user, hey, which page am I currently on? Outside of that, I'm a fan of. Okay, so on your desktop, this is almost more like a the orientation that you have this in. It almost feels more like a tablet design. There's not much white space on the left and right, which is okay because you'll have that on like tablet for instance. But if you ever have like a desktop design, you're stating that it's a desktop design. It's better to have it like kind of more of like a 16:9 ratio almost, or something that's wider where you have a lot more white space on the right and left. Outside of that. In my opinion, there's an issue with your topography here, specifically in relation to your leading, which is the line height. The physical space, the white space between your lines of type in your headline, which is quite a bit right here. And then this right here, this is actually good. This is good leading right here, but I think this needs to be brought in a little bit more. So decrease the leading or the line height up there. Outside of that, everything else looks okay. I would bold this to create that hierarchy between these two pieces of type here a little bit more. But yeah, pretty solid outside of that. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person should get for a rating? Alrighty. So this is pretty solid overall. There's a few things like I mentioned. So I'm going to give this one probably like a 6.8, 6.9. I think that's pretty fair. I'm not sure if there's a delay. But yeah, let's keep on going. And next up will be LFAT or IFAT. I don't know. Let's do this. Let's rock. All right, so this is Behance project. All right, so looking at this, sometimes these Behance projects, they're a little bit frustrating to look at, especially if they've been posed inside of like a laptop. All right, this is a better look. Okay, right here. All right. Again, you're gonna wanna make sure you have an active state. We already talked about that from the previous entry. I would say there is an issue here with all of these pill-shaped buttons. Now, these aren't buttons right here inside of this little illustration. This is, I understand that they're not meant to be buttons, but they're styled exactly the same as your other pill buttons. So you need to rethink that a little bit so that you don't, again, this is like a visual hierarchy issue. You're not sure where you should be looking or where you should be clicking because there's so many elements that look the same, essentially. So I would change these labels to something else. You can have them, but I just wouldn't use them in this button shape. Coming on down here, a little more white space around these areas, around this type. Things are pretty close to the edges. You want things to have room to breathe. And I wouldn't bold everything. Don't use bold type. I could tell this descriptive text down here is more on the thicker font weight. I would make those regular. Bold should just be, for elements that are important, not in the entire paragraph. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? So for me, looking at this, it's hard to say because sometimes when you look at these Behance and the way these UIs are presented with each other, they're not what you really see in the browser. I mean, we have these extra shapes outside. I'm assuming that's not part of the design. It might be, but for what this is, I'm probably going to get this like a higher 6 as well. All right. Next up, this is a website done by me for an organization which I'm a part of. It will go into production after adding proper content. Well, let's check her out. All right. All right, so big issue here, and that's going to be with alignment, which is causing an issue of white space or a lack of thereof. So up here we have this navigation, and then look how close right here this section is to the navigation, this illustration. And I would also say this is up there pretty high as well. I would push that down. So this whole section, I mean, really, we could probably make an immediate improvement if we just take, let's see if we can grab this right there and maybe just do a margin top of like 4 M units. Nope, we need to go even more than that, like 8 M units. Yeah, maybe right around there. Now we've pushed things down and it looks a lot better. So we could put here like a margin top of 4 M units. Okay, that's not working. Let me get my H2 here. Let's do margin top, 4 M units. Oh my God, none of these are working. What is going on? This says 8 rem. Let's try to change that to 12 rem. Maybe even 16 rem. There we go. And then margin right, 4 M units. There we go. Okay. So this is a lot better. We still need to have a little bit, this is still too close. Like this college text next to this is too close, but we've really improved it. So if I refresh this, you're gonna see the original and it's just too cluttered up top. Everything's like up top. We have all this white space down here. You wanna push that stuff to the center of this blue container, essentially, vertically speaking. Next up, let's see what else is happening here. So in my opinion, we still have a little bit of issues with lack of white space between these areas. I think we could probably separate things out a little bit more, especially because these illustrations, there's a lot happening in them. And we have things close together, especially these are two pretty, they're pretty close together in proximity. It really makes things, a little bit too much. Also, these headlines right here, I would probably scale them down a little bit in terms of font size. This is a better area overall for the white space here. Better alignment here. You should have more white space on top of this title, separating these areas out more. I could tell that, I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it looks like these are not white backgrounds. Like the background color of that input just doesn't look white. I think it should be white. So let me see, background white. There we go. That's a lot better just by making it white, not this little blue hue that you have in it. And I think also you have some issues with alignment in here between these. There's a little bit too much white space between these areas. All right, so overall pretty solid, but just some small things. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think? Let me know. Also, please refrain from actually sending me a direct message on Discord. I'm not going to check it out. You have to go through the proper negative space channel. Is it responsive? It is, but there's some issues here. Like, that's a really tiny logo for something that looks quite complex, so you kind of lose it. I can't even see what it says here, so that logo needs adjusted big time. I would redesign that logo. All right, so for me, I'm going to give this a rating of probably like a lower 6, like 6.2. There's some good things happening, but also some things that we could certainly improve. All right, next up is, I think this one. All right, I like the picture. Well, that's obviously an issue. It's obviously not responsive just yet. But let's check this out. So I like this picture right here. Works well. I would take this into Photoshop and I would blur out, or I would take a large feathered eraser brush and get rid of this line right here from the shadow. In terms of the type, I like it a lot. This is all very solid. I might want to make add to cart stand out a tad bit more, but that's not a big deal. These cards are also quite good. Probably add a little bit more white space on top of the 5-star rating. Separate it out a little bit because you have 3 real close to each other, 3 elements. But obviously that I can't scroll down anymore, but this is what it is here. So I would also add to cart a little bit closer to the price value. But yeah, very minor. I like the colors. The topography overall is pretty solid. The cards are solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person should get? This is going to be our highest rating in my opinion. I skipped somebody. Well, let me check. Is that true, Grunt? Oh, I did skip somebody. Don't worry, I'll get to you next. Yeah, so for what this is, assuming it's an original design and everything, and also factoring though that it's not responsive yet, like this is an issue. I would say I'm gonna give this one probably like a 7.8. Yeah, seems like you mostly all agree with me. All right, next up is the person I skipped. Let's go over there. All right, 3 different color schemes. Looks like the same thing. Let's check out the purple one. All right, so just some small things to adjust here. Because this is in Figma, I can go ahead real quickly and copy that and make some live redesigns here. So here's the original. Let's get that over there. So the first thing that I kind of don't like, I think these need to be closer. So if we take these in, move them in a little bit closer. That's a good amount of white space right there. Let's hit Shift R to get our rulers out, make sure everything's even up. You know, I would probably even take this and just go like that. There we go. And then Shift R here. This right here, I think could be, instead of 3, we'll make that 1, or maybe just 2. And then also, I would probably, and I'll be honest, this right here is a little bit strange way to have your social media icons here, because this is like a vertical nav type system here with the dots, so that might be a little bit confusing. I would probably opt just to, you know, put something like this, get rid of those, get this in the center. You know, we could do something like this, or, oops, not that. I put it down here, or if we have enough room, we could put it up here, which it looks like we do here at least. And then also, these are two, it seems like they're also not aligned correctly either. Yeah, so we have an issue with alignment. So let me show you something real quickly. If you take this, we add the layout grid, and we change this to columns, and we change this to 12. And we give ourselves maybe like 140. All right. So a little hard to see, but wait 1 second. Let's make that black. Okay. We get this. You need to get things lined up here. All right. And then on this side, this should be right there. This should be right here. Honestly, these are quite large, these buttons. I would scale them down a little bit. I'm not going to do it because things are not set up correctly. It's screwing them up, but they should be a little bit smaller than they are. And then this can be right here. This e-learning app doesn't even, I would remove that. And then this down here, that doesn't make sense. Like, here, let me Control-Shift-4 that to get rid of that. This kind of just gets lost. It's some type of weird navigation, but it's not something that I would do in that manner. So move these over. And if you want to have these little dots and stuff like that, I mean, let's see here. You know, you can really, I think That's a little strange, have them high contrast. Maybe just make like 5% or something, or 8%. Or take this color and make it 100. Oh, not. Let me go back to this. 1 second here. Yeah, so something like this. Sorry, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I get carried away. And then, you know, honestly, we have a lot of white space right here. So it might make sense to just do something like this and then take this over here and kind of move things and get them centered up a little bit better. That's a little bit better in my opinion, in terms of just a quick adjustment on alignment and moving things around a little bit more. All right, we're not gonna do a rating for this one just because I already spent a lot of time on it. So let's continue on. Next one is, I think, this one. So, not found. Sorry, but your URL does not work. Let's try this one. Why are people not linking me correctly? I have to copy and paste this. Did I skip some? How many people did I skip? What happened? Something happened to my maybe it scrolled down like by accident. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go back up retroactively and cover some of the ones I didn't design. Sorry about that. Let's do this. Okay. All right. Hello. Hey, I am a front-end developer and designer. That's the most boring title ever. All right. So Ad Copy 101, you want to emphasize the benefits, not the features. The fact that you're a front-end developer and a designer is a feature of yourself. You want to tell people how you're going to improve their business. You want something a little bit more abstract than that and emotional. All right. And for a subheadline, you could put something like that, like I specialize in front-end development and whatever. But yeah, definitely rethink that. Nice simple type for the logo. I actually like that. I would make the home one link white so that we give it an active state. Resume, work, I would put, all right, so whenever you have two calls to action next to each other, one's gonna be more important than the other one by nature. That's 100% fact. So you don't want to style them both the same. You want to put the most important one first on the left, and then the second most important one on the right, and also styled in such a way that doesn't take as much attention from the eye. So I would say they would want to see your work first. It's debatable, but I would say I would put work first and then resume second. And then I would change the button design between them. So for instance, let's say resume is the most important one because it's on the left. We're going to change we're going to change the color of this thing. So we might change this to black for the color. And then, well, it's not even working. Let's see. Why is that not working? Hold on, color, black. All right, background, white. All right. So now we've created visual hierarchy between these two elements to really direct the user to click this one because it's the most important. All right, next up, get rid of the high contrast borders right here. It only serves to clutter your design when it comes to this sort of thing. So if I go in here, all right, so unfortunately it's styled kind of strange, border top, there we go. So we've already simplified it a lot. I think this area needs to have a little bit more in terms of design possibly, or separators in terms of your content, your sections rather. All right. Code and preview, again, these are pretty large buttons and they're both styled the same. I would probably rethink the layout here. So you have what should be in two columns, you have on two rows. So you have the technology and then you have these call to action buttons. You have enough space to put those, one on the left and then the other on the right. So The most important part are the actionable buttons. So you put those first on the left, and then on the right column, aligned on the same row, you have these elements. Also, name, please enter your name for a placeholder. You don't need a placeholder value for that because name is obvious, email is obvious, and subject and message are all obvious. I wouldn't put placeholder values for any of those, honestly. And then your submit button should be like this or white with black text because it just looks like possibly another text field because it's styled exactly the same. So you want your call to action to stick out more. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get as a rating? Thank you, extra. Well, I got 243 concurrent viewers. Look at that. So yeah, also you should try to add texture in the background somehow, even if it's just like a watermark, illustration, or just something simple. I think this you could definitely improve that, but by just having subtle texture some way. So for me, I'm going to give this a rating here of, and you don't want all this empty space here. You need to figure out something else to add. So for me, I'm going to give this a rating of probably just like a 6.4 or so. I mean, the contrast is there certainly, and that's very important. That's the most important part, in my opinion, the color and contrast. Readability of your type is all good. So, all right, next up. This one, here we go. One moment, I'm looking at something else off my screen. Okay, all right, let's move this over. Man, I'm getting hot. I think I might have to open up my window. All right, gratis themes. All right, make your WordPress site stand out for free. Alrighty then. Themes. Okay, so this is like a theme type of website. I feel like there should be, like I was mentioning in the previous one, like texture in this area of some sort. Like, if this is a theme that people would use, or maybe it's not. Maybe this is actually your homepage to showcase your themes. I would add something, some sort of design inside of this hero section right here. Outside of that, the logo, the navigation is solid. I feel like this background color, we need to add a little bit of shade to that, or in other words, darken it slightly. So I'm not sure where that value is at. It might be on the body element. Yep, I think that might be it. Yeah, so it's a beige. I want to add a little bit of tone, which means gray. There. I think that's a better color. So that hex color code, I will paste it in the chat in case you want to take my advice or not. I think this one's better. The other one that you had was just a little bit too vibrant for my opinion. I mean, that's a very tiny gripe, I know. But outside of that, looking at these cards, pretty solid. I don't have too much of a problem. I think there's a little bit of white space vertically, an issue between these elements, but for the most part, your call to action, like I mentioned, there's 2 call to actions, and he did style one differently from the other. So I would say you should reverse these buttons because people want to click demo to look at it first before clicking more info. So more info should be the secondary button. But outside of that, pretty solid overall. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? Thank you very much, Kumar, for that super chat. I'm still waiting on T20S Grunt to give me my weekly super chat. I'm just kidding. He's paid me way more than anybody else. All right. So for a rating here, I'm going to give this. One thing I do like on mobile, he didn't put an automatic hamburger menu, because guess what? He has the space to put these links already because he only has 3 of them. Very good in that regard. For this, no major readability issues, nothing major happening in terms of violation of UI design fundamentals. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this one a flat 7.0. I think that's pretty solid. It looks like you all agree with me as well. All right. Ad break time. All right, time to take a break from the reviews. Now, chances are if you're watching this video, you probably want to be a better designer. And if that's the case, how much do you really want it? Because at DesignCourse.com, I've created a UI UX course that will help you go from designing layouts that I might rate a 4 or 5 up to 8 and beyond. But more important than that, as a better designer, this means that you can land higher paying clients and jobs. This course includes over 16 hours of video, 40 interactive UI design tests, and even mentorship where I personally take a look at your work that you submit, I review it, and many times I also revise it, providing you with great feedback to help you become a better designer. Now, during this stream only, you can use the coupon code STREAM22 at checkout to get 22% off. Now, you better hurry up because at the end of this stream, I will deactivate this coupon. All right, let's get back to it. No, this is not a TV show. However, people are continually coming in and out of this stream. And so if you saw it at the beginning, that's the second time you saw the ad. But this is how I monetize the channel and make it worth it for myself to actually do this. All right. So if you have a problem, blah 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 blah, no ads. So if I didn't have ads on my YouTube channel, I would have no justification for doing this because I would have to make money to support my family otherwise. So ads is how us YouTuber and selling courses, of course, make a living doing this. Otherwise, I would just have to charge everybody a fee to even watch this. And how many people would do that? Probably not very many. All right, next up, let's see here. Looks like that one is not checked. Yeah, the ad is literally like 30 seconds long or 45 seconds long out of a total hour stream. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. All right, next up, let's refresh this. All right, so this has an issue of where I'm not sure where to look first. All right, so what's kind of strange here is this big bar. Want a website? I could build one for you. Check out the pricing section for more information. So this is kind of styled as like one of those notification status bars that you'll see, which are really only should be used for like elements outside of this. Like if you have downtime or something, like you would use something like this. And I would also push it at the very top, right underneath this, or right on top of the primary navigation, not right here in the middle, because it makes the design appear blocky right away. So for instance, I bet I can probably reposition it already. So if I take, we got the header, we put this here. Oh, it just screwed everything up. But just imagine that blue bar was up here. It's going to simplify the design a lot because we're starting off with that block and then everything else the same. So definitely want to revise that. And I wouldn't even put this in there. It says, want a website? I could build one for you. That sounds like that should be like in the hero section, like the main ad copy for the headline and subheadline. So I would remove that. It's a little strange. Notice how once I removed it, it simplified the design right away because it was a high contrast, relatively thin block going all the way across. Passionate front-end engineer and designer from India. Hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. All right, so honestly, I would probably put your name, put it right here next to the logo. That way people know your name right off the bat, and then you can free up this headline to put something a little bit more worthy. And like I said earlier, if you weren't here already, emphasize features over benefits. People are emotional. They don't care necessarily about your name or what you do in this immediate headline. They want to know how you're going to benefit them. You need to speak to them from that aspect. So research proper ad copy on landing pages and educate yourself a little bit. Outside of that, things I do. So I'm not a fan of having section titles like this, these labels, because they just kind of they're unnecessary, because based on these 3 columns, these features, they're self-evident already. So and they also stand to just clutter the design. So what I would do is take this, remove that, remove this, And now we've simplified the design much more. Look how much simpler it looks now after doing that. Now, if I refresh, you're going to see the original with that blue bar at the top in this area, and it's just going to look more complex. Oh, you must have a cookie there because it noticed I clicked off of that. Outside of that, looking at the rest of the things here, pretty decent pricing section right here. And are these floating labels? No, they're not. So you want to make sure that those are floating labels, not just placeholder values for accessibility purposes. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? We don't use Slack, WebArtisan. We use Discord. The link is in the YouTube description here and on every single video that I've ever uploaded, basically. All right, so for this one, there's a lot of things happening right with it. I know it sounds like I'm destroying a lot of these designs, but I'm just kind of picking out even the small things. Otherwise, this wouldn't be helpful. So I'm going to give this one a flat rating of probably 7.0 for what it is. All right. Next up, we've got some issues here for certain. We don't use Slack, so maybe that's why it's dead, because we literally don't have a Slack channel. All right. Okay, so this looks like a, wait a second. Oh, yeah, this is somebody else's, the Turkey Gov website or whatever. Yeah, it looks horrible, but I'm not gonna rate it because it's not gonna help anybody. Nobody designed it from this channel, at least. Next up, I feel like the YouTube algorithm doesn't work in many cases because I have almost 900,000 subscribers, and like the amount of views I get just suck. I don't know, maybe I just suck. Anyway, logo, lettermark right here as it's called. Traditionally, once upon a time I was an identity designer, so I talk about logos sometimes. Way too small, can't even read the type. So you should never have type that is in an element that is in that small, because you can't read it. So you want to figure that out, and it also should be placed vertically, centered vertically in this column right here. Outside of that, let's continue on. So I'm not a fan of, and this is something I talk about on my course, especially with my mentor students. When you have cards that are in close proximity to each other, which cards by nature usually are, because they're repeating usually vertically or in column-wise, and you have buttons on them, I'm not a fan of having high contrast call to actions on cards. And that's because it makes the design look so blocky, essentially. So I'm a fan of having lower contrast, more understated button designs for buttons that show up on cards where you have a bunch of them right next to each other. So if I take this right here and we change this var maybe to like a very light gray, and then take the background, or the color rather, and make that close to black or something like that, then notice how it doesn't appear quite as blocky as it once did. So I think this is a much better approach. And I would probably style this button a little bit differently. I could have a little icon. But yeah, those are my comments mainly. A little bit weird alignment occurring here with this up here, and then these two kind of far apart from each other. But and I would probably make this a little bit thicker, this red bar, because this is your primary navigation. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? It's an IP address probably because they're hosting it locally. So for me, I'm going to give this upper 6s, probably like 6.6 or so. So 6.7. There's nothing like too wrong objectively happening. That logo certainly is, but yeah, outside of that, not too bad. Neutron, let's check out this one. It is taking a long time to load. Usually I try to remember to load these URLs off screen just in case somebody's trying to get my channel canned by making me show something I shouldn't. All right, here we go. Alrighty, Center for, I don't even know what the heck that is. Some type of medicine and specialties. Okay, so I'm not a fan of this particular background image, mainly because I'm pretty certain the original photograph was probably very light, very bright. So we've taken it either in Photoshop and baked this in, or this is an overlay here in HTML where contrast has been reduced. But what happens, like when you do that with an image or photograph that's inherently bright, it just kind of makes it look like a mid-tone color almost. Mid-grays I like to avoid because they look bland. So there's a couple ways to combat this. Make it bright and make your text black, or take your overlay and really make this almost 100% dark. That could be one way. I'm not a fan of it though. But this mid sort of gray, it just looks kind of just muted and bland. So I would rethink that possibly. Your navigation looks pretty solid. Good primary call to action, your navigation. That's designed well. Let's come on down here. I would get rid of the box shadow that you've applied on these cards. It just makes it look blurry and fuzzy in this context, the way they've been applied. And you can just really simplify it and really structure those card elements a lot more so. Let's see if I can get to the actual area where the box shadows have been applied, which I can't find them, unfortunately. But yeah, I would get rid of those. Oh, also, look at those red strokes. That is killing me on the blue background. So completely just either make them white or get rid of it entirely. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? Sweet, somebody took advantage of the Stream 22 offer. I have my stats over here on the side. Yep, so for this, let's check out real quickly, responsive nature. So look at this. This is like more of like a tablet area. Look how much space they have. When we get to tablet, you could definitely still include almost all of those links right here. Or you need to identify, like, in terms of priority, which ones are the most important, and then, you know, even right here, you could still probably put another link. So always think about that. You don't always have to confide everything inside the hamburger menu. So for me, I'm going to give this a rating here of just, you know, it's going to be like a mid-6 again. We have a lot of mid-6s today. All right, let us continue on. All right. Did I do this one? I feel like maybe I did or maybe I didn't. I don't know. No, I didn't. All right, so this looks pretty solid. I'm going to refresh it because there was some initial animation. All right. Refresh. All right. I like the font. What is it? It's called Visby CF. I've never even heard of it. Awesome. Notice 2 call to actions, like I was talking about earlier in the stream. They're not designed the same, rightfully so. Explore my work, much more important than just getting to know this person. You know, what if their work sucks first? So that's why you want to emphasize that with the primary color for the button background, and then just like a simple outline for the secondary, more lesser important text. You know, so it's fine that even on desktop, everything's kind of designed and collapsed, kind of if it were on mobile. It's still fine in my opinion. Not everything has to be in 2 columns. You can do things differently. Scroll activated animations, very subtle, and they work well. Very nice. Yeah, I like it. All this is solid. Definitely the best entry we've received so far. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What should this person get? And guess what? They didn't unnecessarily put that in a hamburger menu because there's only 2 links and they have infinite space essentially to keep that there. Oh, another person took advantage of the offer. How many of you want to see how much I make on DesignCourse.com? I'm going to show you after this review. I think you guys will find that interesting. Yeah, so for this this design, I'm going to give it a 8.6, 8.7. I think that's fair. In fact, most of you don't agree with me. You say even higher. So yeah, maybe it is around a 9. Very solid. Awesome. All right. Let me share with you, we'll take a little break right here. I'm going to share with you my stats on DesignCourse.com since launching on January 4th of this year. Here's some of the stats. This doesn't show like money. I'll show the amount of money I've made. So these are submissions right here. These are my Mentor submissions. So Mentor is the program where I literally look at the designs people submit for the challenge-based projects, and I revise them and provide feedback. So we've had 803 total submissions, and I've reviewed 781 of them. Now, mind you, we had a pre-launch last year, so some of these, like a couple hundred are from that. But yeah, I've literally looked, and here's what that interface looks like. It's real simple. These are all the pending reviews. I try not to let this go beyond 4 days waiting time, but this simply allows me to look at their Figma design, and I literally will take a look at it. Oh, this was a challenge based on taking a dark mode design and make it a light mode, and seeing how well they did it. And they actually did a very good job right here. So I would rate this one pretty high. Now, sometimes if people screw stuff up, I will actually do a revision and submit to them a response as well, like where they can see the changes I would make. So yeah, a lot of that. Course users, 1,574. We have 149 currently active Mentor subscriptions, and 28,738 individual lesson modules. So the actual course looks like this right here. So every time they finished one of these, that counts as a completed module. We do have certificates as well, and so like this is what one of them looks like. That's only if you complete the course though. Money, I'll share that. I have no problem sharing how much money I've made. So this is our processor. It's called Braintree. It's from PayPal. So if I refresh this, in the last 30 days, I've made $24,473. These are my daily earnings. So today I've already made 864. It's because we had a lot of rebills come through. This is when we launched. So yeah, this is how much I made so far just in the last 30 days. Now, of course, since the beginning, I've made close to about over 100,000. Now, of course, I have a partner and we have costs as well. But it's done very well and very excited. All right, figure you guys would find that interesting and maybe inspiring as well. Okay, let's continue on. Next up. Alrighty. All right, so let's try. I can't even say that. Minoy burgers. Okay. Let's see if we can get a English translation here. There we go. All right, so here, not really sure. The weekly offer thing up here is kind of strange. I'm not sure if I like it. It also seems like you've baked. Yeah, so this is kind of like more of a banner because it's baked in here. You could tell that the text is kind of pixelated in certain areas, so that's kind of an issue. I actually do like this graphic right here. It seems like things are really dispersed, and that's happening because of this logo that's way over here to the left and this element that's way over here to the right. So when you scroll down and you have a fixed navigation like this, I think it's way too much. It's taking too much height from the viewport. So I would try to reduce that quite a bit. Maybe think of a different way. What I would do with this weekly offer is just maybe put it in the bottom right corner and have an actual, it's like as a modal or a pop-up, and just it has an actual X button where you can click out of it. Somebody else has got skipped. Great. I'll look into that. What's your username? Let me know, Gavin. Looking at everything else, I would probably left align add to cart. Yeah, because if you look at things are kind of all over the place. When you center stuff in multiple columns that are aside from each other, it kind of just makes the, oh my God, let me take my damn phone and mute it. My wife's like freaking messaged me like crazy. All right, so I would left align these, and it would really help just solidify these columns a little bit more. These are good photographs though. Nice high quality. I don't like how these two colors mix, but you know what? Depending on the culture here, maybe these colors would make more sense. All right. This, our newsletter section, that definitely needs improved. Typically, you would have some white space underneath this, and the sign up button would be fully stretched, as this is as well. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? Yeah, what was she saying anyways? Talking about kids and dance. Yeah, she works 2 days a week as a registered nurse, so I have to take our children to dance class today. All right, she was letting me know the details. All right, I'm gonna give this a rating of, again, it's gonna be like mid-6. Yeah, I think that's fair. Now, who did I skip? Where's Gavin at? Gavin marked it in the Discord chat. Oh, alrighty. No, I didn't skip you. I literally did not. I actually got to you a little bit earlier. I went ahead by accident. I already reviewed and rated this design. So if you can go back in the stream, rewind a little bit, you'll find my rating. It was more at the beginning. All right, next up. Let's move this over. Alrighty. All right, so let's refresh. Okay, so there's no animation. Couple issues here. First, let's talk about the nav bar. This is such a muted color, and especially for your active state, if you're gonna have a background with this pill shape that is such a light blue, you're losing contrast if you make the text white. So what this should be is your text for your active state should also be the same color as what you're using for the other one. So color, I don't know what that color is. I'm just gonna say black. It should be the same color as what's happening right here though. So if I try to grab that, That's a little bit better. I would say make it a little bit darker. Also, your contact button, same thing. This is definitely lacking contrast big time. So make that dark as well if you're going to keep this. Or what you could do is just, in my opinion, it would make more sense to do this. We could leave the color white, but we take the background. There we go. We get that sucker right there. Look at that. So much better. All right, so let me reset this to 100%. Next, stand and relax with Standex. Again, it's just so muted. I would change that for sure. You have significant color contrast issues. So if you go and you get out your dev tools and we hover over this, here in Chrome, I believe Firefox as well, it'll let you know if you're under accessibility. It's probably hard for you to see. Let me hit Control 4. There we go. You could see how the contrast is 1.41 with the exclamation point. That means you're not contrasting anywhere near where you should be. It should be, for smaller text, it should be 1 to 4.5 or 1 to 3 ratio for larger text. So just do a Google search for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or the WCAG, and then you'll figure that out. Also, there's too much white space in the middle here. Think about how you can add a little bit more content, or have like a description that kind of pushes over here, or put this over here to the left, make it larger. Something just to fill out those two columns, especially on this larger viewport that I'm working on. Here, it's not so much of a problem, but over here it is. Pretty good section here with the topography. And I would probably make these outlines of the text fields a little bit more contrast. This is really muted, kind of hard to see. And the send feedback button almost looks like it's disabled. There's so little contrast. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What should this person get? By the way, everybody, I'm so excited because my big enclosure in the basement for my water monitor is basically finished. We got the glass coming to be installed very shortly. I'll have to show you guys a picture of this thing. So for this, I'm going to give this a rating of probably lower 6s or close to mid 6. I think that's pretty fair. There's a lot happening right here, but just contrast. That was a big issue. All right. Next up. All right. Passionate front-end developer who create design which brings value to your product. So definitely want to fix that with proper English. So passionate front-end developer who creates designs which brings value to your product. All right, so just a couple issues with plurality there. Let's talk. I like the little micro interaction. I like the fact that you've taken an illustration and actually made them move a little bit. I think that brings motion, obviously, to a design. This here is a little strange. Like, why do that? I can understand for the light and dark mode, but just changing the primary color scheme, seems like a little bit of a unnecessary gimmick in my opinion. Outside of that, these are pretty good sections here. Maybe have little arrows that kind of like go through these little bubbles, or connect them at least. This is a little strange. Like there's a gradient with here. I would adjust this. It looks strange. I mean, just put them in like pill-shaped containers or something like that. This is a pretty decent section with the cards. Again, placeholder value, remove those. You already have one up here. You don't have to tell people to enter their email under the respective email label. Same thing with the message. Good call to action though. Probably make the outline of these a little bit darker. I do like the focus state, but I would make the default outline a little bit darker. All right, and that's it. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? What the hell? Facebook logo designer. Trying to find a picture right now I can show you guys of the upcoming water monitor enclosure. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so for me, I'm going to give this a rating of 6.7, 6.8, close to a 7. Very good. All right. Let me show you all the enclosure that I've made in my basement. It is nuts. So that's the first one I have which has snakes, and here's the new one. It has a waterfall in it. Yeah. That's a 300-gallon waterfall tub pool for an Asian water monitor that I'm going to be buying. It's going to be mine within about like less than 2 weeks. It's like a zoo down in my basement. I cannot wait to get this sucker. By the way, here's another picture of the first enclosure I made last year with my 17-foot reticulated python. I know some of you have seen it already, but look how beastly that thing is. She's awesome. Anyhow, yeah, that is that. So, for those of you who complain about the span, I'm sorry to tell you, we are going to do that one more time. All right, time to take a break from the reviews. Now, chances are, if you're watching this video, you probably want to be a better designer. And if that's the case, how much do you really want it? Because at DesignCourse.com, I've created a UI UX course that will help you go from designing layouts that I might rate a 4 or 5 up to 8 and beyond. But more important than that, as a better designer, this means that you can land higher paying clients and jobs. This course includes over 16 hours of video, 40 interactive UI design tests, and even mentorship where I personally take a look at your work that you submit, I review it, and many times I also revise it, providing you with great feedback to help you become a better designer. Now, during this stream only, you can use the coupon code STREAM22 at checkout to get 22% off. Now, you better hurry up because at the end of this stream, I will deactivate this coupon. All right, let's get back to it. All right, awesome stuff. Yeah, just to show you real quickly what an Asian water monitor looks like. They're beastly. They're a step down from a Komodo dragon. Let me show you one. Here are some pictures. They can get big, and if they bite you, then there's a 9 out of 10 chance that you're going to the hospital to get stitches. They have like razor sharp teeth. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to be actually uploading a YouTube video showing this new enclosure build once also the monitor comes. It's being shipped to me from South Carolina or North Carolina on a plane. So yeah, anyhow, that's been an hour and 5 minutes already. That is the conclusion. I usually do these for an hour. If I didn't get to your submission, make sure to hang out in the Discord server. I always do rather, a news announcement where you assign yourself the stream ping role when you join. And then in this case, it was only 8 minutes before. And that way you can get in closer to the queue so that I can get yours reviewed. So we'll do this again probably next week. And if you really want me to review your designs and actually revise them, consider joining the course and adding mentor. You can add on mentor anytime after you join DesignCourse.com and also cancel it. And I think right now, like the first month, it's only like $34 just for mentor, and that's quite cheap just for getting my opinion, my direct feedback on your designs. And there's over 12 of them, and then there's also like 5 other optional ones where you can submit any design you create, and I'll look at it and refactor it if it needs to be with slight adjustments. So if you're still interested in joining, I'll leave the Stream 22 coupon active here for maybe the rest of the day, but I will try to remember to deactivate it later on. So as always, I will. Yeah, they're legal, by the way. Yeah, they're legal. If I tried to get a Komodo dragon, that wouldn't be legal. They are venomous. I wouldn't want to mess with that anyway. So yeah, I will see you all soon, and look out for a new YouTube video tomorrow. I'm going to be covering how to choose and integrate color schemes that are complementary. See you all soon. Goodbye.